Riley Cooper, I mean, like, that dude deserves a statue. I mean, like,
number one on your speed dial.
Hey, I'll tell you what, like, I mean, I didn't know until a couple days after the fact. I was like, wait a minute, is he the MVP or like we got the alternative team?
No doubt about it.
And then Ty Floyd, when I sure got 17, and like stole it from him. But I was like, when has a pitcher like been a part of like 5 of the 6 wins in Omaha? I mean, what a performance!
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, Troy.
Thank you for the time.
Pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Sorry I'm a little late, boys. At the spring game, obviously, as you can see. Couple of booze cruises here to do. Let's fit. Cruise. Grand salami to the boys. Finally back on track. And I got another one coming. Don't you think I don't? And that's how we roll in Tiger Stadium.
Just watching the spring games that were on television, one thing that jumped out about your squad is your quarterback room is very talented compared to a lot of the league and a lot of the country. I wonder, is it easier to recruit that position when you have talent or when you don't have talent? Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you. Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. There's Jordy.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Tearing up, answering the question, and I thought, my God, if she gets offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast, no matter where we at, we live. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show. Yeah.
Let's go! Let's go!
All right.
Nice start. Big day.
Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, Troy.
Thank you for the time. Gotta get out of here. All right, welcome into a Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, live here from our Click Here Digital Campus on this Tuesday morning, and as always, built by our friends over at RMB Builders. Shout out to Rhett and the crew starting us off. Remember, Rhett can get you into a custom design home today. All you got to do is hit him online at rmb-builders.com or search him on Instagram on RMB Builders as well. I got a big show for you coming up today. We're going to talk to our friend Wilson Alexander as usual in our 8:15 spot. We're also going to link up with Kyle Henderson, who covers Alabama football on YouTube at Bama Football, hosted by Kyle Henderson. Going to stop by here and give us an early preview of this matchup of LSU-Bama. Just what the thought is on the other side over in Tuscaloosa as LSU and will travel over to Bryant-Denny coming up here in just over 10 days as LSU and Bama will square off in a top 15 matchup. And as it was announced yesterday, The game will be covered in prime time. We'll talk about that coming up here on the show. Hit that like button, share button, comment button if you don't mind. If you have not subscribed to the show, hit that subscription button before you get out of here. And we will be talking LSU-Bama, a ton of it. Our phone line brought to you by Southern Regional Medical Center. Our friends over there, Jason Ramazan, Charlie Harvey, BJ, and the entire crew. Remember, Southern Regional Medical Center, real doctors and real solutions with our friends over there. And as we said always, RMB Builders builds us every single day. All right, so LSU and Alabama announced in prime time. Not a surprise. I think yesterday morning we were kind of trying to guess on when this game would be picked up. And really, I thought the entire time this was going to be a primetime announcement. I thought the big, the big news was going to be who was going to be the lead-in, who was going to be the lead blocker for LSU-Bama. And it turns out it's going to be Missouri and Georgia, as it was announced yesterday that Missouri-Georgia will be the 2:30 start on CBS come November 4th, and then at 6:45, CBS will shift their coverage to Tuscaloosa, Alabama for LSU and the Tide coming up on that Saturday night.
Alabama.
As this game gets back into prime time. Lloyd is here on this Tuesday. Stewie is here on this Tuesday morning as we are taking your interaction inside of the chat as well. So jump inside. What'd you think about the announcement yesterday of LSU and Bama being announced back in prime time, as this will be CBS's final coverage of LSU-Bama as the contract expires at the end of the season. This will shift over to ABC and ESPN, but this will be CBS the last year that it's covering SEC football, and for the final time we'll be covering this LSU-Bama game, which they brought into prime time and which elevated the brand of not only both college football brands, but the sport. Mm-hmm. I mean, this game for a decade was the postcard of college football. I mean, no matter if each team was in the national championship hunt or not, this was must-watch television every single year since 2011. I mean, even if you go back to if you're an LSU football historian, if you've been a fan for a while, one thing you recognize pretty soon, or once you kind of get into it, is the meaning, the feeling of this Alabama game, right? I mean, like, for so many years, Alabama had dominated LSU for a certain amount of stretches, but it always had this feel to it where it was going to be a field goal, touchdown, one score, one possession game in the fourth quarter where it was going back and forth. And over the last 12 years, 15 years, I mean, you could even go back to the Patrick Peterson starts where, you know, I mean, if you remember, Peterson got his first interception in this game against Julio Jones back in 2008, 2009 is where he had the pick robbed from him in Bryant-Denny. 2010 is where Kelvin Shepherd knocks the ball loose out of McElroy's hand. Another epic day for Julio Jones and Patrick Peterson going back and forth at one another. But, I mean, those were matchups that I think CBS was probably looking at and saying, look at all the pros on this field. I mean, like, look at
like
this.
A Sunday.
This is NFL minor league. This is AAA NFL. And, you know, then you get to the 2011 game and the two teams feel like just such monsters, Hercules, titans of the sport. I mean, that they made the call to shift this game into prime time. And from there, it was a rocket ship of intrigue, interest. I mean, I really remember this game, and it might have been the 2011 game, where other coaches were being asked who they thought were going to win, like in the middle of games, not in the buildup, like at halftime interviews. I can remember like certain sideline reporters like updating coaches like, Alabama LSU's tied 6-6. The guy was like, I could care less. You know what I mean? Like, I got to get my team ready to play for the second half. But, I mean, the game had just taken that much of an appeal to the sport, to the fans, and now it closing out CBS's coverage on prime time for the final year, I think is going to be a special broadcast for CBS. Not only does it have the backdrop of being a fantastic game, right, that we've got a lot of time to talk about and build up and, get ready for once again. But, I mean, when you think about what this game has meant, not only for the sport, but, for CBS's coverage and what it's meant for the network and college football and SEC on CBS, to where it will kind of be the send-off. I'm looking forward to it. I thought for sure, that this was going to be the call. But, after having it confirmed yesterday, I really can't wait to watch it. I think it's going to be awesome, man.
Yeah, don't overthink it.
Yeah.
You get a Vern, you get Gary in the booth for one last time.
Vern is not.
No, it's Nestler.
Yeah.
Oh,
Vern
but
doesn't call
but I'm saying, what could it be if you just bring him back one last time?
Oh, yeah, right.
Just put him in the boat.
I don't know
Just give me one.
I don't know if they can find Vern.
Just give me one. Oh my goodness.
I don't know if they can find Vern right now.
I think you could just do it from the house.
But no, I mean it will be
Manning cast.
It will be
had some issues.
It will be great, man. I mean it'll be fantastic. LSU, Alabama, Bama favored 4.5 right now, opening up as the line is opening towards Tuscaloosa. So we will continue to watch what that number does.
Wasn't that like 13 a week ago? Wasn't that the early line that came out where we were both all kind of looking at it going, wait, whoa, that's way too high.
Yeah, that was.
And yeah, so that was the case. So if you can get an early line, go grab it. But now it feels like it's kind of regulated to the mean where 4.5 feels.
That sounds about
feels
right.
about right.
That sounds about right.
Alabama, what they are is they're a flawed product, and so is LSU. But they're still two teams that you see when they play. Like if you saw them in the playoff, you wouldn't be surprised.
No. I mean, routinely, two of the top rosters in college football year in, year out. Like whether they're contending for national titles, whether they're contending for league titles. I mean, year in, year out, Alabama and LSU have rosters that are rated by the NFL. And that is what ultimately makes this game what it is. I mean, is the players. The players are always the standout in this game. And really, I mean, it's the coaches have more gotten in the way than been successful. I mean, Brian, that's why it was so shocking last year for LSU fans to be on the other side of it. I mean, where Brian Kelly had his team prepared, they were ready for the moment, they stepped into it and really just kind of captivated it. I kind of think the game's going to play out the same exact way this year. I think it plays out like that. I mean, you play that game 10 times, 8 out of 10, it's going to be one possession in the fourth quarter. Under 3 minutes. I just think there's so much emotion. There's so much build-up. There's so much fight and determination on each side. You forget, like, a lot of these guys have been playing either against one another, with each other. They played in all-star games with each other. They were on recruiting visits with each other. I mean, a lot of these guys still keep in touch with one another. I mean, that's what always I thought really kind of made the Bama game, with LSU was like, I mean, Fournette and Reuben Foster were on the same visit together at LSU. I mean, he knew what that hit meant in 14 when he hit Fournette. I mean, because they were boys. I mean, like, there's relationships that are built into this thing that go into it. That's why the emotion is just, it feels a little different. I know that there's the Saban angle, but I think for a lot of fans, a lot of people who are around this game, I mean, that storyline is kind of faded away. Right? I mean, is there anybody out there that's really motivated because Saban now coaches Bama? I mean, I remember, 08, 07, 09, even into 10. But once he started rattling off national championships, I mean, the ship had sailed. Right?
That's what I would say is what stoke the fire a little bit.
Sure.
It's like, that should be me. That's my wife, where it becomes, you look over at Alabama, like that's what
Stuck
LSU.
with Les Miles.
Yeah, that's what LSU was supposed to be. I think was what stoked the flames even more for this Alabama LSU rivalry, because we talked to Tommy Moffitt last night with Mikey on Mic'd Up and Jared Mitchell, and he was like, if he doesn't leave, and this is Tommy Moffitt talking about Nick Saban, he goes, you win 05, 06, 07, 08, and he wasn't kidding. He was like, they're going to rattle off where he was at that time and what LSU was building. He was like, it was almost too good to be true.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, the teams were so good.
It would have been insane. Like it
covered up Les Miles's
ineptitude.
Yeah, I mean, it covered up how dumb he was. I mean, the teams were so. 06 is the best team ever to win, never to win a championship at LSU.
That's exactly what he said. He said it was the most talented team he's ever coached.
And I believe that wholeheartedly. I still believe that to this day. I remember going and watching the 06 team practice in spring, and yesterday we actually got a confirmation to our our Football Friday text thread. Eddie Kinnison texted Lauren Giffen and I from the LSU Alumni Association and confirmed that Dwayne Bowe is going to be back for the Florida game, and he'll be at the Football Friday event over at the Cook. And so if you can still reserve your tickets, the Florida room is filling up fast. The 03 National Championship team is coming back for their 20-year anniversary. A lot of them are going to be in the room that day. Obviously, Dwayne Bowe was on that team as a youngster, but he'll be there. Bowe, and we were talking about Bowe yesterday when his name come up. I was eating lunch with a group that we were having a sales meeting on, but just kind of shifted into some LSU football talk. And really, for my record, I know that LSU's wide receiver room goes back, to Eric Martin, Wendell Davis, and guys like that. But from my standpoint, like what had started this push of LSU almost becoming wide receiver U over the last 15 years in the NFL, Dwayne Bowe got it started in that group, right? Craig Davis, Early Doucette, Dwayne Bowe. Bowe was the headliner of that team in 06. That team that, we say is the best to never win a championship. I mean, I remember going out and watching that team practice in fall camp, and what jumped out the most out of anything was the wide receivers. Like, I mean, they had freaks everywhere. They had the number one pick in the draft at quarterback. They had defensive backs like LaRon Landry on that team. I mean, they were stacked. Shevish Jackson, Derry Beckwith, Glenn Dorsey, Tyson Jackson, Ricky Jean Francois.
Call him when you need him.
They were loaded. Kyle Williams. Was Kyle Williams on that team? I don't think Kyle Williams was on that team. He was 05. He was 05. He was 05. He was 05.
It's okay. But I mean that's when you talk about like that 06 team, he said the only thing that compared to it, because obviously I don't want to misquote the man, but he's like 2019 was the next one up where he felt the exact same way, like going into the year where he's like, oh God, like we're loaded. Yes. Like if we don't win it, something happened. And he was like, we finally, like, it felt like a little bit of a reclamation project with 2019, where it's like, all right, we did the right way. Because he still says that 06 team was like give me a college football playoff.
Yes.
Because they made, like, if you just get them in.
Oh, yeah, just get them in.
But that time, what they did to Notre Dame, oh my.
And they would have done that to anybody.
That's what I'm saying. It could have been 01 Miami.
Yeah, 03 USC.
Right. Like, they were just, it was the perfect.
Who did win the national championship in 06? Was it Florida? Yeah, I think it was Florida.
It was either Florida or USC.
USC?
No, Florida won it. Florida won it in 06 and 08.
Because 06, is that who they lost?
Was that not
that's who they lost?
Was that not the Texas?
Texas, USC.
Yeah, was that not the
that
Texas?
Was 05.
That
was 05. 06 was that
Florida,
Rose Bowl.
Ohio State.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. Because that's the Tebow, his freshman year.
But I guess Ghostface Killer does say it right. Josh Reed was, I mean, he was a guy that, but Bowe was the prototypical NFL receiver. I mean, the thing about Josh Reed was that, I mean, he was 5'10". Like, I mean, really, I mean, he was such a freaky route runner and always wide open. Like, he wasn't just open. Josh Reed It was crazy how open Josh Reed was. But, I mean, if you go back, he was just an incredible route runner.
Michael Clayton.
But he was like, he was like 5'10", and he was undersized, and he was dominant. When Dwayne Bowe walked in, you were like, good Lord. I mean, he was a true freshman on the 03 team that featured like Clayton and, that group of wide receivers. And he caught a couple of passes. I mean, his first catch at LSU was on that game-winning Georgia drive in 03. I mean, that is, talk about, a start to a career. But Debo, Craig Davis, early Doucette.
I'm rewatching the Bama game from 05.
Debo?
Kyle Williams just took the offensive lineman and just
he was
put him on top of the court.
That 05 defensive line was, I think Claude Roten was on that team.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't Glenn Dorsey like a young?
I think Glenn Dorsey was a true freshman. He was a redshirt freshman on that team, but his sophomore season, Glenn Dorsey's sophomore season was 06. And that's when he started to come onto the scene. In fact, it was the Auburn game in 06 where people were like, who is 72? I mean, he was taking guys and literally, picking them off of their feet and driving them back. I mean, it was and that's what Saban had done. He had left the lines of scrimmage.
Cool.
So, and really, you couldn't. You couldn't transfer then. It was so hard to transfer. If you were in, you were locked in. So Saban had left, and, while people were miserable with Miles, you couldn't go anywhere. And a lot of them were pros, and they were set to play. So, it was kind of like the program kind of had them by the, kind of had them.
Well, that's why you saw so many people leave after 3 years. You had said such an amount of people that left after their junior year were like, where do you don't know if you're good enough to go. We haven't seen anything. And it's like, no, I heard from, you hear from the NFL, you hear from scouts. It's like, dude, if you leave, you'll get drafted.
Right.
Because you're kind of getting wasted at LSU where.
Did you see Daniil Hunter last night?
See it every week.
James Hunter. Wright got drafted.
I was telling little Jay watching the game, I said, Daniil Hunter had 3 sacks at LSU. He was like, how? Well, you just play him out of position.
Playing him at defensive tackle.
Simple. You just put him in a wrong spot. Put his hand in the dirt for 3 years.
He plays with his hand in the dirt in the league, but he doesn't play
inside.
But he's rushing the passer.
Stop the run, Daniil.
And get out the game. But they just had so much talent. Instead,
it really was.
It just kind of got lost in the shuffle. But that's what it is. It's like you get lost in the shuffle. It's like, but you go to the league. It's like, he might be the best pass rusher in the NFL for.
For 2 years he was
for a time. Yeah, when they lead Vikings teams,
he leads the NFL in sacks right now.
I saw that.
And
he had another one
a lot of
last
people
night.
Wouldn't pick him. If you just give you a trivia question, they wouldn't be like, "Oh, it's Daniil Hunter."
Yeah, it'd be like it's T.J. Watt or
Aaron Donald.
All right, Kyle Henderson covers Alabama football on YouTube, and we are going to just dive into a little bit of a early preview with Henderson here as we'll jump over to Tuscaloosa and see what they are talking about in this matchup, what the plan is for this defense, early plan is for this defense against Jaden Daniels in this offense coming over to Tuscaloosa in a couple of days. We will ask Henderson at least what he thinks here over a week out from LSU-Bama next when we come back. Come back with us here on the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, we are built by our friends over at Hughes Mechanical Contractors. Hughes Mechanical is located over in Zachary, but they serve all of South Louisiana, including East Baton Rouge Parish. They're over in New Orleans. They're over in Covington, the North Shore. Get in touch with them online at hughesmechanical.net is where you can find them there. HughesMechanical.net is a residential and a commercial HVAC service, and it's air-conditioned service that you can trust. A trusted Daikin dealer with great warranty that you can find out about online at HughesMechanical.net. Call them at 225-658-2147. 225-658-2147 is the phone number, and online at hughesmechanical.net. We'll be back, start talking a little Bama football here with Kyle Henderson when we come back here on the Jordy Culotta Show, as always, built by R&B Builders. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's smell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
A real passion of mine is ACL injuries, but not just really in the treatment of ACL injuries, but how do we keep them from happening? So right here at Ochsner, we're doing some research studies on ACL injury prevention. We're working with some of our high schools, and we're testing different functional tests for athletes. And we're trying to identify people that are at risk for ACL tears. We're trying to catch them before those ACLs happen. And then we want to intervene with some injury prevention programs. And that's something that, being part of Ochsner Andrews Institute, and we can continue on that research. We can expand the impact of that research. We can bring that to more athletes in our community.
All right, welcome back here, Jordy Culotta Show. As always, we are built by R&B Builders, live here from our Click Here digital campus here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. All right, we found out yesterday LSU and Bama going to be back in prime time on CBS. CBS's last piece of coverage of this game, and it's kind of where it started, in prime time. As it'll be a 6:45 kickoff at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Should be an electric, beautiful atmosphere as it usually is. Kyle Henderson covers Bama football on YouTube. My guy's pushing almost 100,000 subscribers, doing good work over there in T-Town, covering the Tide. We wanted to link up with him as he's kind of got a similar model and platform of what we do, just kind of talks Alabama football. We talk more LSU football, and just get a little over a week and a half out, what the feeling is in Tuscaloosa, start to preview this game just a bit and maybe get a look from the other side of how Alabama is feeling with the number one offense in the country coming in to town next Saturday. Kyle, good morning. Thanks for joining us, man. Kyle, you there?
Yo, I can't hear.
All right, we'll be. Let's see if we
try to fix something.
Let's see if we can tighten up with Kyle. If let me tell you, just give us a thumbs up when you can hear us.
Looks great.
It does, man. Great backdrop. All right, so Kyle.
I got you.
There we go. There
he is.
I'm good. Yeah, good.
At Bama YouTube is where he is on social media and on YouTube as well. He's got a live show on YouTube. Kyle, thanks for joining us. Good morning, man.
Yeah, what's up, fellas? Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. All right, so the announcement yesterday is that this game is back in prime time, which is where it's supposed to be. It started there back in 2011. This is CBS's last coverage of it. What was the thoughts of the announcement and kind of a little early preview of the Tide and the Tigers?
I mean, this game is supposed to be at night, right? I mean, I think everything going into this game, this is Alabama versus LSU, and there's so much that goes into this game, regardless of the records. This is a rivalry game, just as Alabama versus Tennessee was a rivalry game. These games are supposed to be high-profile, high-impact games. I think going into this game, something that makes it even more intriguing is the fact that LSU simply was able to beat Alabama last year, as Tennessee was able to beat Alabama last year. Brian Kelly has done a good job at LSU, and I think probably a better job than I anticipated him to do, honestly. And I think the quarterback play of Jane Daniels has been fantastic. I think when you look to elite wide receiver units in college football, I think LSU has one of them. With that said, Alabama has a fantastic defense. This team is built on defense. The offense continues to progress, and if the offense is ever able to catch up with the defense, you have an Alabama team that you're accustomed to. This team has been inconsistent through the first 8 games of play, but Coach Saban has said that he likes this team. He likes the resiliency of this team, and it's uncomfortable for Alabama fans. Each Saturday, there's a lot more high anxiety, but the truth of the matter is they are 7-1 on the season. They are 5-0 in SEC play, and this is a team that has won 6 consecutive games. The good news for Alabama at this point in time before LSU is, after this Tennessee game, which was a very physical game, Alabama had to come back and outscore Tennessee 27-0 in the second half. You get a chance to rest. You get a chance to recover. You have to keep that right psychological mindset going into this game. It's an open week, so you have some extra time to prepare for a very good LSU team. But there's a lot on the line. Alabama, in my opinion, already in the playoffs. You can't lose twice in college football. Alabama has to keep winning, and it's kind of just survive and advance at this point.
Kyle, take me to the offensive line. What has been the issues from the offensive line standpoint? Where do they go to? Because this is very atypical, right? I mean, of Alabama. Yep. It's usually very solid up front. What's the issues?
I mean, so it was interesting going to SEC Media Days way back in the summertime. I noticed for the first time ever, there was only one player listed on the first team all-SEC media ballot, and that was J.C. Latham, who is Alabama's right tackle. There was nobody else, no wide receivers, no quarterbacks, no running backs, nobody else. On the defensive side, there was 2 players. It was Dallas Turner and Kool-Aid, and then special teams, it was Kool-Aid and Will Riker. Other than that, the offense, there was a lot of new names to come into this season. So with that said, the offensive line has allowed 35 sacks this season. Jalen Milroe himself has been sacked 30 times himself. He was sacked 4 times in this last game. And a lot of the issue is because of the fact that you have a left tackle by the name of Caden Proctor, who's a monster of a man. I mean, he's 6'7", 340 or whatever, but he has been a weak point on this team, and I think teams have taken advantage of that. Now, with that said, he did grade out his best performance against Tennessee, a team that was ranked 3rd in the nation in rushing. He had a Pro Football Focus grade of 77.1, which is fantastic on Pro Football Focus grade. So, like I said, this team is trending upwards. They're working on all facets of their game. And the offensive line, if it does continue to improve, it's going to give Jalen Milroe more time to continue to get comfortable back there. Jalen Milroe, a lot of those sacks, I wouldn't say all of them, but some of them were early in the season and where he's not getting rid of the football. So he'll get outside of the tackle and he'll just absorb a sack instead of just dumping the football out. So The offensive line has been a weak point. There was also during the early part of this season where the center, who is Seth McLaughlin, the snap count, honestly, he was just like snapping it over Jalen's head. There was missed snaps. I've never seen anything like it. There's probably 8 to 12 missed snaps through the first 8 games of the season. They've rotated some guards out. Jaden Roberts is a new guy that they added to the right guard position. He's done really good. He wasn't initially a starter, but he did start against Tennessee. And then you have Tyler Booker, who is very high quality. So you have 2 high-quality offensive linemen, J.C. Latham, who will be a first-round pick in the NFL draft, and then you have Tyler Booker, who's very capable as well, as only a sophomore. But relatively, the offensive line is young, and especially that left tackle position with Caden Proctor. He's a freshman. He's doing the best that he can do, and I think that if Coach Saban wanted to make a change, or they needed to make a change, or they had somebody who could play left tackle, they would have already done it by now. But it is kind of just, it is what it is.
Yeah. Kyle Milroe, Jalen Milroe, it's been interesting to watch his development. I mean, you can see his improvement of just watching him through television. Being there on the ground, what have you seen in his growth up to this point as LSU comes into town next?
Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing to watch Jalen Milroe because this is a guy who came in. I recently asked him the last media opportunity. I was like, Jalen, is there any pressure being the Alabama quarterback? And the reason that I asked that question is, look who played on Sunday Night Primetime. Yeah. Tua Tagovailoa versus Jalen Hurts. And before that, it was Tua versus Bryce Young. Who was the first pick in the NFL draft last year? Bryce Young. Where did all those quarterbacks come from? University of Alabama. So I think when you look to the quarterback position, there's a lot of pressure at that position across the world of college football, but specifically as of late here at Alabama. And I think that Jalen Milroe came in, and he's working on his game. He's working on his craft. We're seeing a quarterback that has now started in 7 games this season. He started 1 game last season, so he has 8 total starts. He's a redshirt freshman playing behind Bryce Young last year, and limited opportunities. He came in against Arkansas and against Texas A&M this year. He lost head-to-head against Texas, a game that Alabama did come back and take the lead on Texas. The thing about him is he has been inconsistent in the early part of the season. With that said, he's 6th in the nation in efficiency, I think. So we've seen him limit bad mistakes. We've seen him limit turnovers. He does have 5 interceptions on the season. This last interception wasn't on him. He did throw a good ball. I think it bounced off a receiver's face mask, and the guy from Tennessee made a good play. He hasn't used his legs a ton. Now he can, because he's probably the fastest player on the field at all time. He's 6'2" and every bit of 230 pounds. If he runs, good luck catching him, and good luck, taking him down, because he can pack a punch. He's a very physical, imposing quarterback. He has a great deep ball, and the wide receivers for Alabama this year are worlds better than last year. Jermaine Burton, who was a transfer from Georgia to Alabama, he's playing on fire. He's playing like that alpha male, a lot of intensity. He's talking trash. He's in your face. He's making catches that, you're recording with your phone so you can send out on social media. Isaiah Bond is a sophomore wide receiver who is very dangerous and will beat you over the top. He's another very fast wide receiver. Kendrick Law is a sophomore wide receiver. Kobe Prentice is a sophomore wide receiver. They have plenty of weapons at the wide receiver position. So Jalen Milroe's deep ball has been great. His intermediate passing, it's not the best. It has been improving, but if they're going to beat you, it's going to be the deep ball for sure.
This defense is getting better and better each week. What's the deal here? Why the sudden improvement each week? It looks like they're improving at a very rapid rate.
The defense has been, they've been fantastic, to be honest. I mean, you throw around kind of that word elite. Alabama's defense is elite, honestly. Headlined by Dallas Turner, who has 8 sacks in 8 games this season. He's fantastic. He's a top 10 pick in the 2024 NFL draft. Chris Broswell, opposite side of him, he's 6'4", 255 pounds, and he was clocked out running a 21.9 miles per hour. Those are the edge rushers. They're going to get to you. They are fast. They are imposing. The thing with Tennessee, what Tennessee was able to do, Joe Milton, they split the field. Tennessee uses 53 yards of the field, and Milton gets the ball out immediately. And so did Middle Tennessee. If I'm looking to beat Alabama, I'm looking at Middle Tennessee, Texas, and Tennessee. And I'm putting those corners on islands. With that said, those corners are great. Kool-Aid, JaQuincy McKinstry, best name in college football. Opposite of him, Terran Arnold. Teams have challenged Arnold. Go look up their Pro Football Focus grades. They're over 80%. I mean, those guys are playing fantastic. Up top, you got a safety by the name of Caleb Downs. Only a safety, leading the team in tackles. And he has a very good Pro Football Focus grade as well. Texas was able to beat him over the top one time, and people have challenged him as well, but he's a very good tackler. He's really good in coverage. And then you got Jalen Key, who transferred from UAB, and he's been doing a really good job. Up front, in the trenches, Tim Keenan, when he originally got to Alabama, he's from Birmingham. He was like, I don't know, 380 pounds or something like that. He's worked on himself. He's at 320. Everybody knows Jackson Dart. You guys know Jackson Dart, right? From LSU. He was fast, right? He's like a fast guy. He can run around.
From Ole Miss?
Right? Yeah. Tim Keenan was chasing him down at 320 pounds. You're like, what? So they have a motor on him. Jaheim Otis has done a great job. He's in the trenches as well. Defensive tackle, defensive end that can get after the quarterback. And Justin Ebogbe, I think he's coming up on 50 games played in total. He's in the defensive line as well. He adds kind of that veteran leadership, has almost 40 tackles this year. So the thing I like about this defense is they are complete. There's no holes. And the guys that rotate behind, like the twos are also very good. For example, this past game, Tresman Marshall, who's an inside linebacker next to Deontay Lawson, didn't play because he has bruised ribs. Okay. So who you got? You got Jahad Campbell, a 5-star who steps in from the IMG, who's an absolute baller. And I think he was the SEC Defensive Player of the Week. He had a scoop and score against Mississippi State when Deontay Lawson needed to step out at inside linebacker. Jahad Campbell stepped in and had 14 tackles in that game. So this team is deep. They're good, and they make great second-half adjustments. Kevin Still is the defensive mastermind. You also have Travaris Robinson, who's in that group as well, that defensive coordinator area. And then Coach Saban, of course, is a defensive-minded coach. So this team makes great second-half adjustments, and we've seen that all season.
When you see LSU, I don't know how much of LSU you've watched, but an early preview from your guys' side of LSU coming in just over 10 days. What do you see?
I think the thing that stands out to me about LSU, it simply starts with their quarterback. The guy I think is the best quarterback that I've seen so far in college football. I like the guy from Washington. There's a couple other guys across the world of college football. Of course, everyone loves, Caleb Williams and what he brings to the table from USC. But in terms of pinpoint accuracy, when you throw the ball 25 yards downfield, the guy from LSU, I think he does it the best in the world. And the best in college football world because he has the wide receivers to do it, but his accuracy has been fantastic. Honestly, every time I turn on the TV, it's like this guy is extremely accurate. I think they have the wide receivers that are going to really challenge Alabama's secondary, and I think it comes down to Alabama's pass rush getting pressure on him and Alabama's defense, coming up with a turnover or something like that early in the first half. With that said, Alabama has had a really difficult time leading teams at the halftime break. They trailed Texas. They were tied with South Florida. They were losing to Ole Miss. They were losing to Tennessee. I think they were trailing to Texas A&M or it was tied or something like that. So this is not a first half team. It's a second half team. So what Alabama has done in the past is they've been able to come back in the second half and make adjustments. I personally don't think they can do that against LSU. If LSU comes out and they punch Alabama in the mouth and they're able to get up even as far as 10-0, I think LSU has the offense to beat Alabama in Bryant-Denny Stadium. With that said, it's tough to run on Alabama. So if you don't have a very physical running game, Alabama will make you one-dimensional. In those corners in the secondary, the safeties are good enough to go man. They play great zone. They're going to be a great challenge for LSU for sure, but I think it comes down to the quarterback's efficiency, if he can limit turnovers. And if LSU can win the turnover game, I think, they probably have, the opportunity to win this game. But it's just Alabama's defense is just fantastic. So it's really, to me, it's easy. It's LSU's offense versus, Alabama's defense. And so far, Alabama's defense has been fantastic.
Kyle, great stuff, man. Great stuff on YouTube. We appreciate your time this morning, and we'll continue to watch your work. We'll catch up at some point during game week. Thanks again.
All right. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. See you guys.
There is Kyle Henderson. He's on YouTube at Bama YouTube. Incredible that he's got that name at Bama YouTube. I'd imagine.
Squatter's right.
It is. Probably getting offered some money on that, but doing good work, man. And look, that's what we wanted. That was just kind of an inside look at Alabama. Obviously, if
sounded
you bring,
like at Bama YouTube.
Absolutely, absolutely. You bring somebody on that is over in T-Town. I think you're gonna get your shakers. Get your shakers ready,
Paul.
Get your shakers.
God damn it.
I agree with it.
Didn't want to mention that USF game at all.
Don't let LSU get up. If LSU gets up, it could get ugly early.
And Milroe has one of those fumbles like he had the other night. Yeah. Bad snap.
And don't let
Perk scoop and score.
Oh. It's 20-0 already.
Run the graphic.
I'm hurting right now.
Put Aaron Anderson back on the punt return.
Caleb Jackson. Let him catch a body.
God.
But, man, I hope Aaron Anderson makes a play.
Oh, you think Aaron Anderson hopes Aaron Anderson makes a play?
I just hope he doesn't stress himself out too much to make that play.
He's teetering on making a play.
He is
close, very close.
This is going to be This is a long 2 weeks. It always is every year. But I would be foolish to say that and give me a little bit of confidence on the LSU side.
Yeah.
No,
get back healthy,
he was grasping for straws a little bit for trying to find some more things about when you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing to defend in sports is, well, if we get a couple things right, I don't know how much faith they have in Tommy Reese. I don't know how much faith they have in Jalen Milroe.
And this could be interesting. Like Brian Kelly, he coached for Brian Kelly for what, 4 years, 5 years?
Mm-hmm. And played for him.
Played for him. So I mean, he probably knows that system inside and out.
Yeah, Michigan style.
Oh. Michigan style.
Michigan's in trouble. Man.
I don't think we want to go Michigan style.
Michigan's in trouble.
I don't even know what trouble means.
But
it has to have. But that impacts this game too, because of what LSU-Alabama means. I know LSU has 2 losses, but if they beat Alabama, you start looking at this Michigan thing. Do you hold them out just because the NCAA starts, poking and prodding and being like,
I mean, Harbaugh,
they are
Harbaugh
stepped right in it. This is the NFL all the time.
Hold on.
Connor Stallions, who is the suspended Michigan staffer,
That is your real name.
I'm taking this from ESPN.com. He's at the center of this NCAA sign stealing probe, which they now have. They have the evidence is starting to snowball.
Insurmountable.
It's starting to rack up on Michigan and Stallions. Come to find out, Stallions has purchased his own tickets in his name for more than 30 games over the past 3 years at 11 different Big Ten schools. Sources at 11 different league schools told ESPN the scope of University's Michigan's alleged sign-stealing operation includes both video evidence of electronics prohibited by the NCAA to sign stealing and a significant paper trail, according to ESPN. Stallions forwarded the tickets he bought to at least 3 different people in different areas of the country, sources say, which hints at the breadth of the operation. The NCAA is expected to receive video evidence this week of illegal technology used in the scouting tied to tickets purchased by Stallions. An opposing Big Ten school looked up in-stadium surveillance from a game earlier this year, and sources said a person in the seat of the tickets purchased by Stallions held his smartphone up and appeared to film the home team sideline the entire game. Sources also confirmed to ESPN that Stallions purchased tickets on both sides of the stadium across from each Ohio State and Penn State game this Saturday. Michigan plays both teams in upcoming weeks. According to sources, the tickets purchased by Stallions were not used on Saturday.
Oh.
Stallions' names emerged publicly in an ESPN story Friday, and he was suspended by Michigan.
And you have Stephen Miller. Question: can you directly link what Stallions did or didn't get from the games he attended to in gameplay? Like, what are you grasping for?
Well, no, there is a portion. No, I agree. Now, look, I mean, on this, you have to tie it directly back to the Michigan football program.
Well, Stewie just showed the. Look at that picture. I mean, if you want to link Connor Stallions or not, but I mean, these are literal hand signs that are on a play sheet.
Wow.
So I mean, case and point. Is that Harbaugh? That's weird.
Yep.
Like, you're dead to rights.
Is somebody's holding that in front of Harbaugh?
It's a coach holding that, but this is Connor Stallion.
Is that Stallions next to him?
No, I'm sure he's Connor Stallion. It's a like 3 shots of
this
that
is a
same
web.
picture, but it's Connor Stallions in one of them. But there's proof because there's
proof
pictures
because it happened.
Yeah, because it happened. But there's pictures of him like during games. Connor Stallion, he'll go on the Michigan sideline. He's standing when the offense has the ball. He's standing next to the offensive coordinator watching the other sideline. When the defense has the ball, he's standing next to the defensive coordinator on the sideline. So it's like, this man's an analyst. Like most analysts just walk around the sideline during the game. They aren't like
he's providing
coattailing the coordinator.
And if you look at his background, like he clearly probably has an affinity to be able to do this.
He has recon,
He's surveillance, right?
Yeah,
right.
He has recon like training.
Hardball. Hardball. I
mean,
love
it's a great
Hardball.
idea.
It is. It is.
Because you can do it in the NFL.
He's like,
the first NCAA rule in question scouting opposing stadiums, which has been in place since '94. The second potential rule being broken is evidence of which had not been reported prior, which means Michigan violated Article 11 in subsection H of the NCAA football rule book.
A place I don't want to live.
Any attempt to record either through audio or video means any signals given by an opposing player, coach, or any other team is prohibited.
It's the most NCAA thing of all time. Subsection H in 1993.
Article 11.
Oh, who found this?
But this is
whoever
Connor
did, we're screwed.
Yeah, Connor Stallion's biggest enemy.
Connor Stallion is the one on the far left with his mouth open.
With his mouth open?
Yeah.
Oh.
So they are.
Put that sheet down.
Yeah, what you doing, dog?
That's the cameraman?
I mean, the refs just.
I mean,
it's just a perfect picture.
I know his picture feels fake.
Yeah, it's a thumbnail.
Absolutely, but I mean, that's what I wonder when you talk about, like, to tie it back to LSU. I guess if LSU beats Alabama, 2 losses, I understand, but now you have this scandal around Michigan, and there's a reason that they've beaten Ohio State the last 2 years. It's starting to make a little bit of sense.
The recruiting hasn't gotten that much better.
No.
I mean, if you look at their recruiting rankings, you're like, I mean, they're still the same program.
Yeah.
And all this J.J. McCarthy love. Like, give me a break. Like, this is amazing. I was listening to some shows. I mean, he's playing at such a high level. Doing what? Like, what are you watching? What am I missing? I don't get it.
The national narrative, which
they can swing that thing.
They're so desperate to get away from the SEC because they know what the pendulum's going to swing back to the SEC next year regardless. You add Oklahoma and Texas. Coach. Like, you'll be talking about the conference. You don't have a choice. But the desperation to bring in a J.J. McCarthy when Jane Daniels is right there.
I mean,
like
Michigan.
They're almost not talking about him on purpose.
Michigan has played Eastern Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green, Rutgers, Nebraska, Minnesota, Indiana, and Michigan State.
I'd imagine that
none of those teams.
I don't even think any of these teams. Rutgers is the only team on this list that has a winning record.
I mean, and who are they stealing signs for? Like, why? For what?
And you got ousted by Shiano, who was like, I know what's going on because we should beat them.
Right.
Something is going on funny.
I mean, this guy, J.J. McCarthy's not that good.
How do they know what we're doing all the time? Got to make money off of this.
They must have didn't scout Bowling Green. J.J. McCarthy had 3 interceptions.
He had his best game of the year, but what's the rest of their schedule? When did they play Ohio State?
The end of the year.
Yeah, same weekend LSU
I think they
plays.
but they play Penn State, November 11th?
Penn State is so bad.
They're bad.
But this is just from somebody
November 11th.
Who may have cheated on a test a time or two. Once you don't get that cheat sheet, coach, the
That's
whole
right.
thing changes. Like,
That's right. Wait, what?
This is not nearly as easy as I thought it was.
No, I agree, man.
So the season's about to get a little bit different. Regardless if, it feels like it's very true. you'll start to see when they play a little bit better competition. Like, oh shit, I wish I had that play sheet.
What was the hand signal again?
Yeah, damn it.
All right, remember, we're brought to you daily by Go Roof, online at geauxroof.com. Our friends over at Go Roof, you can find them online right there at geauxroof.com. 225-927-8300 is the phone number. You get a 2-year workmanship, 2-year free workmanship guarantee with all new roof installations with our friends over at Go Roof. A beautiful roof every single time, whether it is commercial roofing, residential roofing, or you just need roofing repairs. Our friends over at Go Roof can help you, and they can help you today. If you call them, 225-927-8300, that's a 24-hour number. They'll get back in touch with you, and they'll have somebody out to see you today. They'll jump up on the roof, diagnose the problem. They'll work with the insurance companies directly to take the headache and take that part of the process out of the puzzle for you. You just got to work with Go Roof. In fact, I would advise you just go ahead and store this into your contacts list right now, so whenever roofing problems jump up, you can have your contact already in your phone. 225-927-8300, online at Go Roof, geauxroof.com. geauxroof.com is where you can find Go Roof. Hour 2 next, we're going to talk to Wilson Alexander coming up here at 8:15.
I'm looking at these teams that Michigan's played, and their record is horrible. I mean, the best team they played is UNLV, and they're 6-1.
It's a joke.
What was the score of that
that's
game?
UNLV. Let's see. 35-7.
Sounds like a sign stealing the game.
LSU and Jaden Daniels' day is here.
I mean, they haven't given up over 14 points in a game. 10, over 10.
Hey, Coach, I mean,
they're not that good.
You're not that good.
Right.
Nope,
I mean,
unless you know what's coming.
They're good. They're not that good. All right, we'll be back. Hour 2. Come back with us. Jordy Culotta Show, built by R&B Builders.
Where's...
If you're in the market for a mortgage lender, you need to start with Doug Bickley and his team. Bickley has built a crew with over 50 years of combined lending experience. They've been in business for over 20 years, and they love helping their clients achieve the American dream of home ownership. They're also key with working in real estate agents and helping their clients getting same-day pre-approval. They average about 1 buyer a day getting them in a home. If you want to get in touch with Doug and his crew, it's easy. Call them 225-214-5154. 225-214-5154. Go see the Bickley team today. They're located on the corner of Coursey Boulevard and Sherwood Forest right here in Baton Rouge.
What's up?
What's happening?
Chilling with a couple of cool guys. You?
Chilling and watching some tube. Hold on.
Did you do it?
Hold on. Did you do it?
Roof's up.
Hold on.
Roof's up?
Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
You can't put the cart before the horse. That'd be like, will you marry me?
Do I know you?
Never sign a contract with a roofer before he gets on your roof. Call Go Roof instead. We offer a free, no-obligation inspection. A beautiful roof every shingle time. Bobby, goes in the front.
Roof, roof, Go Roof. Offensive player of the game from LSU, Joe Burrow.
Football is life. Football is Joe Burrow.
Click Here Digital, the home of the Jordy Culotta Show. Online at clickheredigital.com, If you're looking to set Google ads, set social media campaigns, learn about SEO, display video, or even creative, Click Here Digital has the answer for you. Online at clickheredigital.com or email me directly, Jordy at clickheredigital.com.
Well, the Oscar Andrews Sports Medicine Institute collaborative effort was an idea from Dr. Andrews and myself to bring together two great names, the Andrews name and the Ochsner name, to elevate the quality of care for athletes in the state of Louisiana, where he's from.
I always thought I would come back to Louisiana and practice orthopedics with my subspecialty being sports medicine. This was an opportunity through Ochsner's to come back and work the entire state to help develop and take sports medicine to a new level.
As an orthopedic surgeon, what this means in the future in terms of, access for our community to the type of care that Dr. Andrews pioneered, words can't describe how valuable that is.
Ochsner has a great opportunity here to really grow, and Dr. Burnham, of course, is the mainstay of making that happen. If you want to have first-class sports medicine care, check in with Dr. Burnham and his group, and you'll be more than impressed and pleased.
Malik Neighbors, a wide receiver.
Favorite pregame meal?
Popeyes.
What would winning a national championship mean to you?
It would mean a lot to me because, we seen a lot of the greats come through here, won their national championship, got, remembered for life.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Probably fly. That or telekinesis.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Do it wrong, do it long. Do it right, do it light. Kyle Lacey, wide receiver, number 2.
Do you have any nicknames?
K2.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Stay humble.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Fly. I be flying in my dreams.
What's been the highlight of your partnership with us?
The bike giveaway was one of the best things. I was pretty excited about that one. Texas A&M, I just got a point to prove because last year I dropped 2 balls I should have caught. I'm coming for them for real.
That's it. Thank you, man.
My name is Harold Perkins, and I play linebacker.
What's your favorite pre-game meal or snack?
Pasta with a little steak, something that's not too heavy.
Any superstitions or pre-game rituals?
I pray a lot. Just be me and God before the game. Perky worky. I like when they call me the percolator. I like that.
If anyone gets in a wreck, who should they call?
Gordon.
Thanks. Where were you born at, Greg?
Hattiesburg, Mississippi. But I claim follow food because I was raised there my whole life. Favorite type of food is spaghetti. But you need to try spaghetti with some corn on the side. Funniest person, I'd probably get Kyron Lacey. He be having me joked out every time I talk to him.
Who's the most athletic?
Besides myself, Perk or Malik. Future self, just take one day at a time, one step at a time. If you're doing something, just be where your feet are. Make sure you give 100% effort.
What is something on your bucket list?
Win a Super Bowl. That's definitely on my bucket list.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Time traveling.
Who's the fastest on the team?
Like in a short span, I would say quick trigger, I'm taking Perk. One thing most people don't know about me, probably that I moved 12 times growing up, 12 different states.
Who's the most savage on the team?
Maason Smith. Maason Smith, definitely.
And who gets it done?
Gordon.
Thank you, man. That's great.
Emory Jones, right tackle.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Got it from my mom, and she just told me, always keep your head on the swivel.
Favorite subject?
Math, easy. I kind of keep it light. Give me some type of red beans or something like that. Throw a little cornbread on the side.
Light with red beans.
Yeah, just a little bit. I am superstitious. I got some PhDs that's purple and yellow and white. I wear them every game. I feel like they my lucky draws, and you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep doing it.
Head health is incredibly important for our student athletes. One of the best ways we're trying to address concussions is on the front end. We're trying to prevent these before they happen. And a big part of that is speaking to the athletes, letting them know what to expect. Okay, speaking to the parents, what to look out for, talking to the coaches so they know the vital importance. Some of the big things we're looking for with a concussion, which is, a traumatic brain injury, is one, was there a mechanism? Was there an injury that took place that could lead to this? Often a direct blow to the head, a head-to-head hit. If someone's showing signs of concussion, our first step is always to remove them from activity, get them to a place where there's less stimuli, where we can really just sit down and get a feel for the athlete, what they're feeling. We're looking for headache, we're looking for dizziness, any sign that coordination is off, that something's just not right. Get a good evaluation of them to understand what's going on. It's not worth the risk that may be there to kind of ignore it, because there are very serious consequences if we don't treat a concussion properly.
Don't let concerns about shifts in the market disrupt your long-term financial goals. Edward Jones financial advisor Daniel Newman can help. He'll work with you on an investment strategy for long-term results. Edward Jones can give you the tools and knowledge for a steady approach to hitting your financial targets. Get started today by calling Daniel Newman at 225-261-8262. 225-261-8262. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Belmont Stakes Race Training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, go roof.
Phil's Oyster Bar, a staple of South Louisiana since 1945, located in Southdown Shopping Center and online at philsoysterbar.com. If you log online, you can learn about the private party schedule, the catering menu, and even order online. Daily lunch specials Monday through Friday. Learn about the history when Gus Piazza took it over in the early 70s, made it an absolute stop-in for everyone who came through Baton Rouge, and now Anthony, his son, carrying on the tradition. Phil's Oyster Bar, Southdown Shopping Center, and online, philsoysterbar.com.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot. Oh, yeah. Sticking the roof in.
For a hole in your roof, or a whole new roof, go roof. Roof, roof, go roof.
As primary care sports physicians, the things we think about the most with our athletes from a medical standpoint usually involves the head, the climate, and the heart. We have to be very careful about participating in sports when it is safe, but also having the proper equipment to take care of them if we are worried about the athletes. So here in Louisiana, obviously heat can be a big problem. Things that I think about as a primary care sports medicine physician is that it's safe enough for our athletes to participate. And there are certain regulations that we follow here at Ochsner, but throughout the entire state, to make sure it is safe for our athletes to participate. When we think about concussion, we have to really recognize those symptoms from the forefront, and that becomes a cultural issue as well. As for the heart, screening exams are by far the most important thing that we can think about. We go through a series of questions, but also listen to the athlete's heart and ask about family history and other symptoms they may have had in the past. By doing so, we can identify and potentially screen out athletes to make sure that they are safe to participate in the sports that they love to do.
All right, welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show, as always. We are built by our friends over at RMB Builders. Welcome back here. We're live on the campus of Click Here Digital. Click Here, of course, located here in Baton Rouge. We're helping you out on the digital marketing side. If you need digital marketing ads set, you can get in touch with me, Jordy at clickheredigital.com. That's Google ads, Facebook and social media ads, SEO, any digital marketing strategy that you may be curious about, let us help you out over here at Click Here Digital, online at clickheredigital.com. All right, we're going to talk to Wilson Alexander coming up here in a couple of minutes. Wilson, of course, checking in from The Advocate and NOLA.com. We'll get the latest from Wilson on where LSU stands going into this Alabama game.
Wedding week.
Remember, we've been talking a lot about defensive back in recruiting. Some news yesterday in the defensive backfield that Pop Bernard Causey decommitted.
BB Causey
from
home.
Ole Miss, which seems like next in line should be the commitment for LSU.
DBU Causey.
Let Frank cook.
Yes. So we will see.
The
if
heat has
LSU
been
should
turned
get
up on the cornerback room, and it seems like people are responding.
I think that the heat's been turned up in a lot of rooms. Really, I think from the standpoint of defensively, they've got to.
You can't live like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there's missing out on Louisiana guys at LSU is
unforgivable.
Well, that's the recipe of that. That'll get
that's a fireable
that'll get you
offense.
fired. You know, I mean that will. It just can't happen.
It just can't happen. That's what's so funny. It's like it just can't happen.
It's non-negotiable.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can't miss Jacoby Matthews, Derek Williams, and Wardell Mack. It's
not in concurrent
that.
In
Yeah,
succession.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's it doesn't matter. The staff changed over in part because they were missing.
Yeah.
On that. And I know that Jacoby Matthews was in a transition, and you can even argue that Derek Williams was in a transition, but
you're not.
You cannot miss on guys like that. I mean, even guys like Jordan Gilbert, who is at Texas A&M. I mean,
Stewie's given pretty good evals that you're not getting from LSU. Like Stewie's that plugged in. He's bringing up players that they're kind of missing on. Where he's in Louisiana, he's right there. Do you want him? Like, no, they haven't even offered him.
Nope.
And it's like, hire Stewart. Shit.
I mean, that's the job. I mean, that job has been filled by those types of people. I mean, you got to think. I mean, everybody now is resourcing the recruiting department. That budget has grown. There's only so. I mean, if I was a head coach, I'd hire Shea Dixon.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like legitimately. I mean, I would just put him on staff.
He has the relationship.
And just say, you give me your top 50 every week. Every week, give me your top 50 of, who's the buzz. And it's not necessarily saying that is who you have to go get, because I think there is a legitimate concern that there may be a little bit of star chasing that's happening inside of LSU. And I think, like for a guy like Bernard Causey, that's probably why this is a little late.
Mm-hmm.
Because he passed the evals. He checks the boxes.
How do they wait on everyone?
All the grades, everything.
I think that's about to start. That's changing.
Yeah, they've started offering kids like 9th grade.
Yeah,
just
the way
now you have to offer
the way it's always been done.
Yeah, Keelan Moses.
Keelan Moses' brother.
But those are the obvious,
right?
Like that. I mean,
but those are some of the guys that also
legitimately
can't miss.
You could roll out of bed and say you got to offer those guys. The guys that like the Gabe Relaford's getting late offers like that. Like that's the type of guy where you're like, hey man, forget the breakdown on position. Get him on campus and then do that. Look at the vitals.
I mean,
look at the way that he tests. Look at the way that he is growing. Look at his development. I mean, look at the stuff that doesn't necessarily have to have a position pinned to it to say that's what he's getting the offer for.
I don't know if you remember Curly Reed from he went to the same school as was that Le'Veon Moss?
Yeah. Struma?
No, not Le'Veon Moss. The kid from Lake Charles, the running back from Lake Charles.
Yeah. Trevante Citizen.
Yeah. Curly Reed played with him. He's a cornerback. Went to Washington. And it was LSU and some other schools, and he just chose Washington because I guess LSU just wasn't recruiting him how he wanted it. But he's at Washington, a freshman, hasn't even played a game yet. he'd probably be starting at LSU.
Oh, I mean,
Probably.
this week he'd have to be.
But I'm saying, like, you know what I mean? Like, these kids are going other places, not even playing, and they'd be at LSU starting, probably making plays. It's just.
Did we get a Zay Alexander update yet?
No, I think you'll get that, the first of it tomorrow.
I was about to say,
Brian Kelly will be speaking for the first time tomorrow.
Teleconference?
Oh, now we get the probable, doubtful. Here it comes. This is the first test.
I mean, it did not look good.
No,
I mean,
it didn't pass the eyeball test by any means.
Yeah, it wasn't like he.
They did the ACL test on the field.
Yeah, and he didn't. It wasn't like he was trying to get up either. He went straight to it.
No, he was hurt.
Yeah, you can't.
Let me know we got Wilson.
That was in front of God.
Wilson.
That was in front of God and everybody with the going into halftime, and that's the worst case scenario for not only Zay but for LSU if you're trying to like mask an injury and maybe cover. You have a week to see what's going to happen, but when it plays out the way that did, you can't really lie to me.
All right, Wilson Alexander is here with us every Tuesday at 8:15 in his regular spot from NOLA.com and The Advocate on social media at WHAlexander_. All right, Wilson, let's start there. There's a lot of positive to take away from this segment, but the negative part that came out of Saturday night was the Zay Alexander injury going down in the second quarter. The fellas were asking if we had an update on that. I said it would probably be tomorrow. Would be the earliest we could hear anything would be from Brian Kelly. Is there anything to report on Alexander after Saturday night?
So we'll know about 5 o'clock today. Actually, Brian Kelly has his weekly press conference. Instead of it being on Monday, because it's not game week, that'll be this evening, and we'll probably be able to get an update then. Hopefully, it is more than probable, doubtful, anything like that, because this looked like it might be something that maybe would be a little bit longer than just like a 1 week thing. The buzz hasn't been great on that in terms of his availability for the Alabama game, but that's just sort of buzz at this point. So hopefully we'll be able to get something a little bit more firm and solid come tonight on Zay.
The defensive back room right now, Wilson, this has obviously been an area of concern for LSU, even in the preseason. Now in the year, it's almost, and not almost, it has gotten worse. Where do you view them heading into this bye and heading into an enormous matchup in Tuscaloosa?
It's a major point of concern. The position of concern, the major point of concern, has been there all year, and now it's just even heightened because of the opponent coming up and because of the bodies that are left there right now. I mean, to go through the second half against Army, obviously it wasn't critical against Army, but LSU brings in 4 transfer corners to try to reload that room this year. Second half against Army, none of them are available. That is just wild and leaves you in a really precarious position. Obviously, if Zay is out for the Alabama game, then attention really turns to Denver Harris, of course, who was unavailable for the Army game. But, if he is able to play against Alabama, then that would be a huge boost to have him out there instead of having to turn to a freshman, because even Ashton Stamps has been injured the last 2 games. And so you don't really want to turn to a freshman anyway, but you certainly don't want to have to go even further into your depth with some guys like LaTerrence Welch and Jeremiah Hughes to just haven't played a lot this year and are not on the top of that depth chart right now. And that's not where you want to go against Alabama, which that offense isn't electric by any stretch of the imagination, but it can hit a deep ball. Jalen Milroe is second in the country behind Jaden Daniels in yards per attempt, and Alabama is just a little bit behind LSU in terms of pass plays over, I think it was, over 30 yards, 40 yards? I think over 40 yards. They have 11 of them, and LSU's got like 13. And so they are, able to throw the ball deep, and that is not a great thing when LSU's dealing with what it is at cornerback right now.
How much is there expected on this defensive line to perform in this matchup, dealing with with Alabama dealing with such problems up front? I mean, they are having sincere issues on the offensive line.
This Alabama offensive line talked about, dominating everybody during the offseason and really playing, bully ball, that kind of thing. And it just hasn't been that way. They've been a really inconsistent group. And so LSU's defensive line really needs to dictate in this game, maybe as much as it has or more so than it has all season. Because obviously at times that defensive line has been a little bit underwhelming. They've gotten better over the last few weeks, especially since Pete Jenkins came in. Maason Smith gave him a lot of credit post-game on Saturday. But they've got to continue to play better and can really be the anchor of this defense. I mean, that's what we've said kind of all year. It's like you got to start up front and be able to bring pressure. And they're going to have to do that, especially against Alabama, in order to protect those guys in the secondary. It's going to be absolutely vital.
All right, so the offense versus this Alabama defense is the story going in. Wilson, have you started to peek at this Alabama defense and really, from a matchup standpoint, what makes them who they are? Because people around college football are really starting to recognize this unit as one of the tops on that side.
Yeah, just starting to look. Haven't done a full deep dive into it yet, but what you can certainly tell right off the bat about this is it is probably the top 15, top 10 defense in the country. Brian Kelly said yesterday on Finebaum that this is the best one LSU is going to play, both in terms of talent and just overall sort of cohesiveness, because Texas A&M's got a lot of talent on the defensive side, but Alabama's just playing at a little bit of a higher level on that end. They're really good up front. They've got Dallas Turner and a couple other guys who can bring pressure. They're going to be a handful for this offensive line, and it's going to be tough to run the ball maybe for LSU because of what they're able to do stopping the run. This is going to be kind of a matchup of good on good in that way. LSU's offensive line has been really good. Alabama's defensive line has been really good. And so that's going to be just a fantastic matchup in this game. And they're also pretty strong in the secondary with guys like Coolidge, McKinstry. So, maybe not like the top linebacker play at Alabama right now that you maybe have seen in the past. But they're solid all around. They're on the defensive side. Just, a few weeks ago, held Ole Miss to 10 points in Bryant-Denny Stadium. And we saw what that Ole Miss offense can do against some other teams, especially LSU. So, it's going to be interesting to kind of dive back into some of that and see exactly how Alabama was able to do that, because LSU is obviously going to have to score quite a bit.
Wilson, LSU's got the best offense in the country, right?
For my money, yeah. I mean, they've been fantastic, and when you look at every statistical measure, they are the top right now. There's a slight caveat to it because they played 8 games, and some of these other teams like Oregon and Washington have only played 7. But even in terms of yards per game, they're right up there. They're number 1 in points per game, number 1 in total yards. And the thing that really stands out to me isn't just sort of those big overarching numbers, but it's the explosive numbers. LSU's number 1 in plays over 20, 30, and 40 yards. And in terms of plays over 20 yards, they've got 67. That already matches what they did last year. And the second place team is USC, which has played 8 games. They've got 54. So it's not like that you sort of, and in that way you can take out the number of games teams have played because LSU is just outpacing everybody in that regard. So not only is it only the best in terms of sort of total production, but it's been the most explosive offense in the country to this point. And I don't know really if you can argue at right now. Obviously, by the end of the season, these things can change. They still got 4 more games to play, some tougher defenses coming up. But when you look at it at this point of the year, for my money, yeah, they've definitely been the best, and they are the most explosive.
Any update or expectation on Emory Jones next Saturday?
I would expect him to play based on just what I've heard. Is he going to practice this week? I don't know. Hopefully we can find out from Brian Kelly tonight. But, coming off that ankle, there probably isn't a lot of reason to practice him this week. But, get him back out there next week. And I would expect him to be good against Alabama at this point unless something changes. Just based on what I've heard and what Brian Kelly even himself was saying, last week about how, they were sort of sitting him and Mackay in order to get them, ready for the stretch run this season. So I'll be surprised if it's a negative update, but hopefully we'll be able to learn more tonight and later going into next week too.
Wilson, one player who's made a return here and his impact has been felt has been Omar Speights. What have you made of his return and what he brings that defense?
So, of course, it's hard to necessarily say, he's been fantastic, just because LSU's played back-to-back 2 one-dimensional offenses. And so it's hard to really know exactly how much better he's been than he was at the start of the season, just because of that. But, within these games, he has played really solid football. He's been... I think he had 8 tackles against Auburn. I can't remember the exact number he had against Army, but he was, up there in terms of how many he had. And he's going sideline to sideline better. He's playing within the defense really well. It helps that LSU, of course, has sort of settled what it wants to do defensively. But asked Brian Kelly about him about a week and a half ago, and he said that Omar, he didn't even mention Whit Weeks in the question, but he kind of brought up the comparison himself and was saying that, Whit can run and he's super athletic. But even Witt himself admitted about a month ago, he's like, I'm still looking around and having to ask guys what it is that I'm supposed to do. And I don't think that, they don't find that with Omar. And Brian Kelly often likes experience, says there's no substitute for experience. And that was part of what he said in the answer to the Omar Spates question. He said he can fit the plays really well, and he's seen and played a lot of football. And so, that's a help to have on this defense. We'll see, against some better offenses coming up, exactly just how he plays in those games. But to get him back on the field and have him fully healthy again for the first time in a while, it's certainly a help. It'll be interesting to see if LSU, how much Weeks plays at all, because the last 2 games he really hasn't with Omar out there. Omar's been out there a ton. We only played 9 defensive snaps against Auburn, so they're going to be going with Omar Spates quite heavily as long as he's healthy, and so he's going to have to be up to the task.
Does Alabama -4.5 sound right?
I guess at this point, yeah, home team's always going to get a little boost, but this game looks like it's going to be really close.
What from the build-up standpoint of this one, does this feel like a typical LSU-Bama matchup? I mean, we were talking about this is going to close out CBS's coverage on primetime. It really kind of started this trend back in 2011. What do you make of this series and kind of how it comes to an end on CBS next Saturday night?
Yeah, I'm personally very nostalgically attached to that CBS song. I'm sad to see it leave the SEC. But it is kind of appropriate that this last sort of day-night doubleheader that they're doing has LSU-Alabama as that night game. And even Georgia-Missouri as the early game is going to help decide the East. So 2 good games to kind of help send out the CBS on SEC era, I guess. And that is a little bit bittersweet, I think, for those of us who grew up listening to that song being played on SEC football games every Saturday. But it's going to be, a great game. At least I would expect it to be. These teams look like they are both pretty good, playing good football right now. And so, yeah, I'm going to be sad next year trying to hear that song on the Big Ten. I don't really know how I'm going to wrap my head around that. I mean, they're already doing it now, and it's kind of weird. So it's going to be a good matchup, though, for CBS to kind of end things on in this one, I guess.
Wilson, a bye for everyone, right? You get the weekend off?
No, he's getting married.
I know. I was setting it up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know if you knew.
The drama.
Congratulations,
Wilson. I guess this is what a beat writer does, right? You have to schedule things around who you're covering, and in this instance, you have scheduled a major event. Congratulations on your upcoming nuptials this weekend.
Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah, it was funny. Brian Kelly commended my fiance at the press conference last Thursday for doing that, which she thought was hilarious because we do have to schedule everything around football season. I mean, we can't go on our honeymoon yet. It's Bama week.
Wilson, great work. You're the best, man. We'll talk to you next week. It'll be game week, and you'll be married. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, y'all. Have a good one.
There he is. Wilson Alexander checking in from The Advocate this morning at WH Alexander _. Dedicated. How about that? Well, you can't win awards. You can't win national awards.
Yeah. I wonder if he writes his own vows. I'd imagine he does as a writer.
She's a writer, too.
Oh, God.
Should be a long one.
Very intellectual wedding.
Yes.
I'm not here.
A lot going on.
Not on the reason why we were left off the guest list, boys.
Not those people. Not Lloyd.
All right, good stuff from Wilson as always. Our friends over at Tiger Air. Remember our friends over at Tiger Air. Catch some air with our friends over at Tiger Air. They're online at tigerair.com. That is TIGERAIRE.com. This equipment has it's expanded. Remember, they have the Zephyr model and the Zephyr Pro that you can find out more online at Tiger Air. They have done and started this equipment inside of the football helmets and have made a product for the everyday. Check them out. TigerAir.com is where you can find them online. TigerAir.com is where you can get them. So bye week here for LSU and Bama. Obviously, some things to kind of look ahead on. Obviously, LSU and their offense of LSU will be the matchup and the storyline against Alabama's defense is what everybody will be starting and beginning to break down. And we wanted to just kind of get a little bit from Alabama's side and then start to hear what some of the stories are from Wilson Alexander and LSU side. Brian Kelly was on Finebaum yesterday talking a bit about the matchup. and he will be meeting with the press today, coming up this afternoon. His regular Monday press conference was not on the schedule due to the bye week, but a meeting with the press is now on the schedule for this afternoon. He'll also be a part of the SEC media teleconference. He'll be at his radio show on Thursday after his his post-practice presser on Thursday, and then I'd imagine that LSU will be off for the weekend, heading into next week's preparation for Bryant Denny and the trip to Tuscaloosa. So lots to get to and lots to cover, man. It is going to be a heck of a build-up, and I'm like Wilson in the sense of
nostalgia.
The nostalgia of this really will have a feel, I believe, on this game because of how much this game has meant to the SEC on CBS. Really, I mean, the SEC has been a dominant product, and LSU has been a part of the wheel. But when LSU and Bama was put in prime time back in 2011, both football programs and the overall conference really saw their star start to brighten up as far as the national relevancy went inside of national discussions across the country. So it will be cool to see this game one more time on primetime, in primetime, a part of CBS as the backdrop of it, with the lead-in and the music. And
I was just thinking about that. Like, I'm even going to miss, like, the lower third, like the graphics.
Yeah.
Like, all of it just doesn't feel right. Like, that's not my...
Chick-fil-A players to watch, and then the little cow comes. Smooth.
Yeah, and then you get the
little head pop,
the little trivia question that you always feel like you might get right, but sometimes you don't.
Vernon and Gary, man.
And you're like,
my gracious!
Oh my goodness!
Have you ever
Alabama?
He loves some Bama.
And Gary.
He was so surprised in 19.
He had the call already. It's
Yeah.
like, oh no! When it was picked off by Eric Reed, he's like, oh no!
He did what?
That can't happen. And I mean, for my money, like, I understand that whenever I was a young blood, I understood the Gary Danielson hate because it was very palpable. It felt like he was rooting for Alabama throughout the teleconference.
Still does.
Right? But for my money, he's still very good at the job.
Yes.
He's great.
But he's just a Bama fan.
I think they both have a little bit of... It never feels like they were pulling for LSU to do anything but keep it good. And then when it came down to it, it was, oh, God, no, not Nick Saban. He can't lose. But I'll even miss that.
No, absolutely. And I think that's more Saban than it is Bama. I think especially when you talk about guys like Danielson who've got, past in football where it's probably crossed paths with Saban at once or twice, and there's a personal relationship in there. And Saban is, I'm sure, in those settings, very intimidating.
Oh, that Thursday meeting where Gary's just slobbing.
No doubt.
Like,
and Vern's watching.
Yeah.
Like just voyeur in the corner, and just can't get enough, and he wants to come tell everybody about it. I mean, I don't fall. I used to get all caught up in that.
Right.
They hate LSU.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, it's like, they really don't, man. I mean, they just
love Nick.
Yeah, they absolutely do. And I mean, I'm sure Nick's got them eating out of the palm of his hand when they're going through those meetings. And Les Miles and Ed Ogeron did not. You know what I mean?
Now we got to meet with who?
Right.
I just got.
Sorry, boys. I came for my run this morning.
This man just broke down all 100 players on his roster, front name, center, everything, and then you have Les going there. Well. Ooh. Columbus Day. It's the day.
And I was trying to tell you about Bryce Langston.
Right.
I'm telling you.
Watch his defensive tackle now.
I got this Bryce Langston boy.
I'm getting bad information from the head coach. He doesn't know his own team.
But it was. What would y'all think of the Missouri Georgia lead-in? Surprising?
No.
Texas A&M Ole Miss was
Texas
on the.
A&M.
That's what. If you had to pick it before the year, you'd have picked Texas A&M Ole Miss, right?
Pass them back, Ags.
Pass it back, Ags. Get Kevin Sumlin on the call.
Oh,
he'll be watching for sure.
Yeah,
Sumlin is
not in the confines of his own home.
No, he needs to go to that same I guess if he ends up doing prison time with that guy that's putting in all the parlays and keeps hitting them.
So did I read this right? Was he on the staff at Maryland?
Yeah, but they were on bye week.
It's always the bye week.
I don't mind, man.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Well, that's what another thing that Tommy was saying. He hated the bye week before the Alabama game.
I bet.
I mean, obviously, as a strength coach, like, you can't have your hands on your guys. Like, you can't see them every day the way that you normally can. But for this game in particular, this year, it feels like it comes at the perfect time, regardless of.
Yeah, no, I think during Coach Moffitt's run, I thought that it became a nuisance.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it really it drug. It was almost an anchor of the game, especially for LSU, because LSU would build it up so much, and it became this 2 week mountain that LSU was kind of. They were almost digging their own grave.
Yeah, why would you want to give somebody like Nick Saban more time?
Not only that, but it was football is the epic, consistent message being preached. Like, they want to copy Monday, they want to copy Tuesday, they want to copy Wednesday, they want to blueprint all of that and just copy and paste it every single week. They want game day to feel the same. They want the night before to feel that. They want all of that. Why would you take one game and make it different? You're going against everything that you preach, and like that has to be a confusing message inside the locker room. And so when LSU would get into this game after the buildup of it, and they would play them close, but they just couldn't get over the hump. They'd lose by 3. They'd lose in OT. They'd lose right down the stretch. Then it was like, well, I mean, the season's over. And that's why the Arkansas game became such a problem. Because you had really, you had kind of
shot all your bullets.
Yeah, I mean, everything was gone. I mean, you built it all up. You lost the game. What else is there to really play for? And, that was part of really what into, I thought, at the time, LSU struggles in this game. That it was built up too much. Just play the next week. Think of LSU coming off of a 62-0 win of Army, just continuing that momentum into game week. Like that was my thought process of it, where it was like, just keep them moving. You break, give them more time to think about it. Now, all the while you're building it up. It just seemed like a recipe for failure. So
we'll see how Denver Harris handles the bye week. Speaking of idle minds.
Yeah,
because you have to have him.
And I agree with Lloyd. At this particular game and moment, it probably comes at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
It probably LSU needs it just from a physical standpoint and a mental standpoint, just to relax for a minute. Take a step away from it.
It feels like the perfect time to kind of close the book for a second, just because of. Think about what you've gone through this year already. Whether it be Florida State week 1 lose, and then you have
the Ole Miss situation.
I was about to say, Jimmy Lindsey, Greg Brooks, like, all this has gone on. Like, the hits keep coming every week. It feels like something happens with the LSU program. And while there's usually drama around it regardless, this year feels like you couldn't write a script like this.
Right.
Between, like I said, like not having a defensive line coach, having a defensive line coach, Maason Smith suspended, John Emery suspended. Like, what's going on? Trey Bradford's your starting running back the first play of the game. Like, this has just been kind of a wild ride. So now it feels like you can kind of, all right, take a breath. We've made it to a point where, okay, let's reset. And with all that said, it comes down to exactly what you don't want, where this is your season you're playing for again. So whatever happens at Alabama will probably determine how you see the outlook of the rest of the year.
Yeah, no, it will.
Because it feels like you're playing for everything right now.
Absolutely. It will dictate the final month of what LSU season looks like.
All of which will be at home.
Right? It feels as if you take care of Bama, you're the favorite against Florida, you're the favorite against A&M, you lose against Bama. Who knows what those games look and feel like at your place, right? And who knows how you respond. So, game's huge, and I don't mean to play it up any bigger than it's ever been. It's as big as it's always, as it always is. But
that's what's so funny. It's like the perfect bookend. But what else would it have been?
Right.
Like, even through, what has it been, more than 10 years of this, and it's like, oh, still here. Like the model of consistency, Alabama and somehow LSU.
Right. All right, so I got to cut out a little early for a meeting this morning, and we are going to be back with you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. As always, our Wednesday show, we'll talk to Jacques. Jacques will be through here, and Jacques will be talking, and we'll be previewing the bye week, previewing the LSU-Bama game, what's coming up this weekend, some games to be watching and looking out for. So come back with us. Make sure and give us a like, share, comment if you don't mind before you get out of here. If you've not subscribed, hit that subscription button. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. here on the Jordy Culotta Show, built and powered always by R&B Builders.
Hey, Chino, put my headphones up, bro. Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time. It's the hottest show around, we ain't gotta flex. Call up G, we get it done, we earning our respect. Tell recruits to let us in, where they going next. Throw up the L's, now we lit, band playing neck. From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we live, mic'd up for show. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show. Yeah, Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta